Hello and welcome to the Final Code demo and walkthrough for MindPath, Group 46. MindPath is a web-based platform designed to simplify access to mental health resources for Canadians. The system addresses a range of needs, including navigating mental health services, providing instant crisis support during critical needs, providing and implementing clinical pathways for various mental resources, and giving coverage for all provinces of Canada. This project is complex for several reasons, as it incorporates multiple challenging engineering disciplines. MindPath involves developing both a front-end and back-end system, each with distinct responsibilities. The front end is built using React, which required implementing a responsive UI, state management, and dynamic data visualization through tools like Chart.js. The back end uses Node.js, Express, and MongoDB to manage user authentication, data storage, and secure API. Mental health navigation lacks standardized solutions, and it's also stigmatized. We have to design a tailored platform with customizable services and intuitive user interface without standard existing guidelines. Privacy and security are critical concerns due to the sensitivity of user feedback and progress notes. While there are general security best practices, applying them in this specific context requires careful adaptation and implementation. The project serves several user groups, end users, administrators, and us, the developers. Involving components and subproblems, the platform integrates several interconnected features. User authentication for secure access, an admin dashboard for the unique admin user for dynamic charts visualizing the data, clinical pathways for different clinical needs and mental health resources, and a crisis support button when critical needs are immediately required for those seeking help. The project spans multiple disciplines, including software engineering, UI UX design, and data engineering. Following this, my teammates will now demonstrate their formulations and solutions for the project.
Hello, this is Galin Todorov speaking, Group 46, MindPath. I was responsible for designing and setting up the database at the beginning. Later, on my implement user functionalities like registration, login, and logout on both the backend and frontend. It here, and finally, I ensured security through password rules and two-factor authentication, which unfortunately wasn't complete. Now I can demonstrate what I have done so far. Here we don't have any users yet registered. This is the registration form. Just for simplicity, I have already filled in. So when I click register, there is the successful registration, and you see now that there is one registered user. Next, let's log in, username, password. You see the password must be the prolonged case address with a special symbol. Okay, login is successful. Okay, let's see active users on the system. There's one, James Smith. Also, when login form is completed, lower button appears. There are three basically ways to log out. One to click the button. Now that users are done. The other way is user could be automatically locked out after some time of inactivity, and the last thing is just to close the browser. So basically, this was so far.
My name is Robert Ibarra, and this is my portion of the project for the semester. In Sprint 1, I started with familiarizing myself with React and JavaScript. In Sprint 2, I was setting up the structure folder for the development for the backend. I also implemented the button on the homepage for crisis support. And the questionnaire task were left in progress because the sponsor needed to get us more information regarding these tasks. So back to the crisis support button. Here is the code. Here are the routes for all the items listed. Here's the crisis support button code. And here's the crisis support button working. For Sprint 3, here we have the the questionnaire input and output task along with the other results task, which this is really just a skeleton file that works, and I am just awaiting more information from the sponsor to fully complete this feature. Also, here is a custom web page for the crisis support button, as it previously was using the Canadian government mental health support page. With guidance of the sponsor, she wanted us to have a custom made web page, so that's what this task is for. And then a task to tether the new web page to that crisis support button. So here's the code for the page of the crisis support. Here's the questionnaire code. Again, the new web page, the customized web page, and the questionnaire right here, where I would put my name, age. I'm going to select my mood is sad, high stress, and I am in a crisis. Sad, high stress level, and in a crisis are triggering events that will cause the pop-up to occur, where the user needs to answer if they want to proceed with the recommendation of the crisis support. If they push cancel, it'll still pop up as a recommendation. If they submit and they do select OK, the user will be sent to the customized crisis support that this button takes you to. But if the user goes on the questionnaire pop-up and they click close, it'll just close. So with Sprint 4, I worked on some of the header because things were overlapping and other items in the header were not placed right. And here's the other task with the detection, the triggering event that I showed you with the pop-up. When certain items are selected or the user inputs certain selections, such as they are in a crisis, this triggers the pop-up of recommendation of crisis support. For the code for the header, I moved the questionnaire into the drop-down along with the crisis support button, making it fit in the header because it was overlapping with the login button. And with Sprint 5, that overlapping that was occurring with the login was fixed, along with the questionnaire form was previously a web page, and I made it a pop-up form, as you can see here. And that is all. Thank you.
Hello, this is Kevin So, and I will be demonstrating my portion of formulation and solution for the end user and developer. In MindPath, my involvement was largely in the backend for developing the admin dashboard, the unique admin user, the feedback form, and the progress notes. The administrative user and the admin dashboard took inspiration from Cisco's Splunk for generating bar charts and graphs. It is a key user story required by the sponsor for having a backend admin user who has near omniscient powers in a typical IT role for viewing aggregate data, website statistics, logged in users, can monitor activity, and view data for the purpose of continual improvement and for monitoring day-to-day operations in MindPath. In Sprint 2, I started off by creating the basic format, routes, aggregate models, and the middleware for the admin dashboard and visuals, including a CSS script and chart.js for generating the charts. In Sprint 3, I added some extra features to set up email notifications so that the admin user is getting a daily notification each time a new user is registered into MindPath, and an activity log that will generate line by line logs for all the significant activities that occur in the dashboard and from users across MindPath. I implemented a simple refresh data button to refetch data to generate updated line charts, bar graphs, and pie charts on the dashboard. By Sprint 4, I created a simple feedback form to expand the admin dashboard and have users be able to submit a feedback form that is fed to the admin user to help MindPath have a continual improvement program. And by Sprint 5, I focused on making a testing environment because we realized that because we don't have a web hosting platform yet, we're still testing on localhost. So technically, every time we run MindPath, it's technically being spawned from afresh with no admin statistics, with no existing data analytics or website verification history. So I injected placeholder data to make sure that the admin dashboard can actually be viewed, and I nullify the verify admin login, which generates a unique JWT token so that the one unique admin user can log in only with those credentials. I'll demonstrate the end user. We're on the local main page for MindPath, and this will be implemented back, but we're going to bypass the verify admin middleware, just directly log into admin. This is the refresh data button. Right now, we have just 3 aggregate data modules for the admin dashboard, which are total users and searches, total users, total searches, a line chart for how many searches per day, and 2 examples of popular search terms that are employed in MindPath through the search query. And the feedback forms that users submit are also submitted to the admin user. This is one example of a placeholder feedback form that has been submitted. Thank you.
Hello, this is Sunny Sidhu. So I'll be going over all the tasks and the user stories that I worked on. It was mainly all front end related. I'll try to go over all this quickly since I'm gonna go through each sprint, but I'll go over each task and user story that I worked on, and then I'll quickly show from the developer perspective the code that I worked on, and then finally from the user perspective what the web app looks like from the front end. So here on Sprint 2, what I mainly worked on was as a user, I want to see a basic version of the MindPath website so that I can navigate through different pages and interact with placeholder data. Mainly in this sprint, I worked on creating the FAQ on the home page, and then I fixed up the footer component of the web page. So that was Sprint 2. On Sprint 3, the first thing I worked on was fixing the bugs in the front end. So since Sprint 2 was our first sprint, since we all worked on the front end, we did have a lot of bugs. And so what I did first was fix those. And then next, I worked on the header of the website. So here you can see I added an FAQ button to the nav bar. When you click it, it takes you to the home page, to the FAQ section. I added a header logo to the nav bar. I removed a contact button that was on the nav bar previously. I added a service button to the nav bar, and then I added a new MindPath logo to the nav bar. And I also worked on the about section as well. So that was Sprint 3. On Sprint 4, I ended up working on the same user story from Sprint 3, which was working on the header. So I finished the about section in Sprint 4. And then I also added a blog button in the header where when you click it, it takes you to a blog page where a person could learn more about mental health. And then I also added a contact button on the homepage to where the user can click the contact button located near the bottom of the web page, and it'll take you to the contact form. So that was this user story right here. And then finally in Sprint 5, I worked on this user story right here, where a user can switch between light and dark themes. So I created the design for light and dark mode on the homepage, added a switch, and added icons to that switch to differentiate between light and dark mode. So I just showed the user stories and tasks that I was assigned to and what me and the team came up with. So I'll show the code that I mainly worked on. There is a lot of code, so for time's sake, I'll just show some of the bigger components that I worked on. Here was the about page that I worked on. So I redid this whole component right here. A lot of it I commented out as well because this was a template that we used, and some of the code was not related to MindPath and wasn't needed. So I commented out a lot of it like this right here. But I did add small sections of text, just talking more about MindPath and what our mission is and how MindPath can help you right here. I also added a services button, and here's some styling for the button. So when you click this button, it's going to take you to the services page, which I also created, and I'll show that component as well. So this is the about component right here, and then I also worked on the styling right here. So this is all styling for that about page. Next, this was the blog page. So I didn't change much here other than adding these mental health blogs that I located online. So I added the links here for those mental health blog pages. I added the styling to the contact page, which I worked on. Here is the home page, which has the FAQ questions that I added right here. So these were the FAQ questions that I added. And this was also the styling that I added to the contact section, which was added to the homepage. Here is the services component. You could see the mental health coverage, which hasn't been added yet, but I added coming soon. You can see the types of mental health services available here. You can see a little title here up top. And this will be easier to visualize once I show the user perspective. But this was the services page, and then this is the styling for the services page. And here you can see I made it responsive for mobile devices as well. Finally, in the last sprint, I worked on light and dark mode. So here I added the React icons library, which uses the moon and sun icons for the switch. And then here's the React switch for switching back from light and dark mode. And then I also imported app.css, which I created, which is going to change the background colors and the font colors based on if we're in light and dark mode. Here is the theme being set. It's going to start off at dark mode. If I were to change this to light, it'll start off at light mode. If we go further down, it's just the switch is changing when clicked. So if it's on dark mode, then it's going to go with this style. If it's in light mode, it's going to go with this style. Here in app.css, so here if it's in dark mode, it changes whatever that div is to that background color. So I used mainly just the browser dev tools and went over each element on the home page, and based on if we're in dark or light mode, I changed the color of that font or background. So now I'll show the user perspective of all the code that we just went over. First, I'll just show everything in light mode. Here was the about page. On the user perspective, you can see a title, a subtitle, the image that I created, the services button, and the paragraphs about MindPath. Here was the header that I created. So here was the image that I came up with, the about button, the services button, the FAQ button, the blog button. So this was the about page. If you click the services page, it takes you to this, different types of mental health services that MindPath covers. This was the FAQ button. When you click it, it takes you to the FAQ on the home page. So these are the FAQs that I changed. Also on the home page, if you scroll to the bottom, was this contact section. If a user clicks this, it takes you to the contact us form, which I changed some of the styling for. This was the blog page, which has the links to different mental health blogs. Sprint 2, this was the footer that I worked on. So it has all the mental health helplines right here, has the CanAge contact information right there, has the different social media links to the CanAge down here, this image right here as well. And then finally, in this last sprint, I added this switch right here. So right now it's in light mode. You can see the sun. If I click it, it's in dark mode. You can see the moon. So this probably will be fixed in a future sprint, but as of now, I added this dark color in the back. And individually, I changed all the font colors to a lighter color with the dark background in dark mode. So you're able to see the text. So that was all for the user perspective. Just to show some software engineering principles that were applied in this project. There were a lot of components that were already in this template beforehand before I started working on them, and I did reuse a lot of them, edit a lot of these templates. So that's just to show the reusability that was used in this project, and it will be easier to maintain in future changes that we make to this project. So that was one of the main software engineering principles that were applied. But that's all I have. Thank you.